Alright, so in this video we're going to go ahead and look at solving linear equations. So the first problem that we're going to look at says that if x plus 4 is equal to 6x, find 8x. So what we're going to go ahead and do is take our equation here, which is x plus 4 equals 6x. I'm just going to go ahead and jot it down right here. So we have, let's see, x plus 4 is equal to 6x, and what I want to do is I want to solve for x here. So I need to get this x and move it over to the other side. Well, when I do that, this x was positive, so when I move it over it becomes negative, so we have minus x there. On the left side, all that's going to be left is a 4. Here 6x, take away one more x, gives us just 5x, and now what I have to do is divide both sides by 5. So if I divide this side by 5, I divide that side by 5, then I'm left with, let's see, I'm left with x equals 4 over 5. Now the question is not asking for x, the question is asking for 8x. So they want to know, what is 8x equal? Well, how do I make this an 8? Well, I can simply just multiply this side by 8. But if I multiply the left side by 8, then what I also have to do to the right side, I also have to multiply that by 8. Now keep in mind, multiplying by 8 is the same thing as multiplying by 8 over 1. And so on the left side, we now have our 8x, and on the right side I just have to multiply these two fractions. Now to multiply the fractions we can just go straight across, so 4 times 8. So 4 times 8 here gives us a 32, and then 5 times 1 gives us 5. So 8x, so let me go ahead and put a box around this. So we can say that 8x is equal to 32 over 5. Okay, we're going to do some more examples very similar to number 1. So let's go ahead and look at number 2. So let me just scroll down here. Alright, so question number 2 says that if w minus 10 is equal to 4w, find 6w. So here again I'm just going to start by copying down my function, or my equation, w minus 10 is equal to 4w, and what they want to know is 6w. Well, before we find 6w, let's go ahead and find first what w is. Again, very similar to the problem before, I'm going to go ahead and get this w, and I'm going to move it over, but again it was positive, so when I move it over it becomes negative, and now we just kind of simplify. Well, on the left side we're only left with a negative 10, and on the right side we're left with 4w, take away a w, that's just going to leave us with 3w. Now here we can go ahead and divide both sides by 3, so let's go ahead and do that. So I'm going to divide this side by 3, and I'm going to go ahead and divide this side by 3, and that's going to leave us with, let's see, we're going to be left with negative 10 over 3 is equal to w. Now again, we go back to the question, and the question they wanted us to answer was, they want to know, well, what is 6w? Well, if I want to make this a 6w, then what I need to do is multiply this by 6. Well, if I multiply that side by 6, then I also have to multiply this side by 6. But again, I can make this a fraction by making it 6 over 1. And now again, same thing as the previous problem. To multiply fractions, we just go straight across. So 6 times a negative 10 will lead us to a negative 60. And then in the denominator, we have 1 times 3, which is just 3, and that is equal to 6w. Now you can go ahead and clean this up. Negative 60 divided by 3, is just negative 20. So again, 6w is equal to negative 20. Going to our last problem here, we have, let's see, we have if 9t minus 6 equals t, then find 12t. So again, if I just copy this problem, well, I'm just going to go ahead and start moving things over. So for example, what I can do is the same exact thing. I can get this 9t right here. I can move it across, but if I move it across, it's going to become a negative 9t. So now I'm left with, let's see, I have a negative 6 left, and here I'm left with negative 8t. Now what I can go ahead and do is divide both sides by -8. So if I do that, I'm going to have negative, let's see, let me go ahead and just write it down. So I'm going to divide this side by -8, divide this side by -8. Here the two negatives and the 8 will reduce, leaving us with just t, so we're going to be left with, let's see, we're going to be left with t is equal to, here a negative divided by a negative is positive, so I don't have to worry about the signs. And 6 divided by 8, well, I can reduce that. If I divide the top by 2 and if I divide the bottom by 2, I end up with 3 over, let's see, 4. Now that's great because we found t, but they want to know what is 12t. So again, I'm going to just copy what I have over there. I have 3/4 is equal to, let's see, t, but I want to know what is 12t, so I have to multiply both sides by 12. So I'm going to multiply this side by 12, and that means I have to multiply this side by 12 as well. Well, again, this is the same thing as 12 over 1. And to multiply fractions, what we can go ahead and do is just straight across. So 12 times 3 gives us a, so I'm just going to save some space here, but 12 times 3 is just 36, and 1 times 4 gives us a 4. Now we just have to think that we have to just reduce this a little bit. Well, 36 divided by 4, that's simply just 9, so 9 is equal to 12t.